Imagine a future where your lifespan isn't just a mystery, but a data point. A future where algorithms, powered by the cold, calculating logic of artificial intelligence, can look at your medical records, your habits, even your social media activity, and whisper, or perhaps scream, the approximate date of your final breath. It sounds like science fiction, a dystopian plot ripped straight from a dark novel, doesn't it? But what if this isn't just a fantasy? What if, right now, in labs and research institutions across the globe, the technology is being developed that aims to do exactly that? Predict your death? This isn't about fortune tellers or crystal balls. It's about hard data, complex algorithms, and a disturbing new frontier in AI. The question isn't if AI can predict the future, but whose future, and what the implications are when that future is your own mortality. Get ready, because we're diving deep into a world where your digital footprint might just become your epitaph. The unsettling premise. For millennia, the timing of our demise has been one of life's most profound and unknowable mysteries. We plan, we dream, we live, all under the unspoken assumption that tomorrow is largely guaranteed. But in the age of big data and advanced artificial intelligence, this fundamental human experience is being challenged. Researchers are no longer just looking at risk factors like smoking or genetics. They're feeding vast datasets, medical histories, lifestyle choices, environmental exposures, and even genetic markers into powerful AI models. These models are designed to identify patterns, correlations so subtle and complex that the human mind would never spot them, all to generate a probabilistic timeline for when our bodies might give out. It's a chilling thought, an emotionless machine calculating the end of your story. The initial applications are often framed as benevolent, aiming to identify high-risk patients who need early intervention, or to personalize preventative care to an unprecedented degree. But the core capability, the ability to peer into the statistical abyss of our individual lifespans, remains the same. This isn't about predicting a precise date, like a countdown timer, but rather assigning a probability of mortality within a given time frame, say a 90% chance of dying within the next 5 years. However, as AI grows more sophisticated, those probabilities become increasingly refined, moving us closer to that unsettling direct prediction. How does it even work? The data goldmine. The secret sauce behind this morbid prediction engine is data, and lots of it. Imagine feeding an AI millions of patient records, diagnoses, treatment outcomes, medication lists, lab results, imaging scans, and even doctor's notes. Beyond traditional medical data, some models incorporate lifestyle information, diet, exercise habits, sleep patterns, often gleaned from wearables or even social media activity. There's also environmental data, socioeconomic factors, and crucially, genomic data. Each piece of information acts as a tiny clue in a vast, intricate puzzle. The AI, particularly using techniques like machine learning and deep learning, doesn't just tally up known risk factors. Instead, it's tasked with finding hidden connections, subtle sequences of events, or specific combinations of markers that precede adverse health outcomes and ultimately, death. For instance, an AI might discover that a specific fluctuation in a blood test, combined with a particular gene variant and a history of restless sleep, strongly correlates with a higher risk of a heart attack within a short window, even if no single factor alone is considered critical by human doctors. It's about building incredibly complex predictive models that learn from historical data to forecast future events, and in this case, the ultimate future event. Real-world attempts, this isn't just theoretical musing. Around the world, various research groups and institutions have developed and tested AI models with varying degrees of success in predicting mortality. One notable example came from Stanford University, where researchers trained a deep neural network on electronic health records of over 2 million adult and pediatric patients. This AI was tasked with predicting the likelihood of death within 3 to 12 months. The results were startling. The AI proved more accurate than human physicians in its predictions. Other projects have focused on specific conditions, like predicting heart failure or sepsis mortality with impressive precision. Some models even use a digital twin approach, simulating an individual's physiology and potential disease progression based on their unique data profile. While these tools are primarily intended for clinical use, for example, helping palliative care teams identify patients who would benefit most from comfort-focused care, their inherent capability to see into our future health trajectories is undeniable. These systems learn to recognize the subtle whispers of impending decline long before they become shouts, making the technology both potentially life-saving and deeply unsettling. The ethical minefield. The moment we introduce AI into the equation of predicting death, we step into a complex ethical minefield. On one hand, the potential benefits are immense. Imagine an AI identifying a patient at extremely high risk of a stroke within the next month, allowing doctors to intervene preventatively, saving a life. Or tailoring end-of-life care with greater compassion and foresight. But what about the darker side? Who owns this data? Who has access to these predictions? Could insurance companies use these AI models to deny coverage or charge exorbitant premiums based on a predicted shorter lifespan? Could employers discriminate against individuals deemed to have lower longevity potential? The psychological impact on an individual receiving such a prediction could be devastating. Would knowing your approximate expiry date change how you live? Would it lead to despair or perhaps a reckless embrace of life? Furthermore, there's the inherent bias problem. If the data used to train these AIs disproportionately represents certain demographics, the predictions could be less accurate or even discriminatory against others. The models are only as unbiased as the data they are fed, and historical medical data often carries systemic biases. The illusion of control. One of the most profound questions this technology raises is about the nature of prediction itself. If an AI predicts you have a high probability of dying from a certain condition, and that prediction prompts medical intervention that prevents that death, did the AI's prediction fail, or did it actually succeed by triggering the action that averted the outcome? This creates a fascinating paradox. The more accurate these predictive AIs become, the more likely they are to be used for intervention, thereby altering the very future they predicted. This isn't a flaw in the AI, it's a demonstration of its potential power. However, it also highlights the difference between a static prophecy and a dynamic, data-driven forecast. The goal is not just to know, but to change the outcome. Yet this brings us back to the ethical quagmire. Who decides what interventions are appropriate? What if the interventions are invasive, expensive, or have significant side effects, all based on a prediction that might still have a margin of error? The delicate balance between informed decision-making and succumbing to an algorithmic decree will be a critical challenge for individuals, doctors, and society at large. A future beyond prognosis. The development of AI capable of predicting mortality marks a significant shift, not just in medical science, but in our philosophical understanding of life and death. For centuries, our mortality has been a great equalizer, an unknowable future that everyone faces. AI, however, introduces a new layer of perceived certainty, transforming the ultimate unknown into a calculable risk. This technology could fundamentally reshape how we think about preventative health, personal responsibility, and even the value of human life. Will we become overly reliant on these digital prophets, or will we use them as tools to empower more proactive and personalized health management? The answers are still emerging. While the immediate goal is often framed as improving healthcare outcomes, the inherent capability of these systems to peer into our finite future forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about privacy, free will, and the very essence of what it means to be human in an increasingly data-driven world. The disturbing new tech isn't just about predicting death, it's about forcing us to reevaluate how we choose to live now that our expiration date might just be a complex algorithm away.